Alright. Hi everybody, Cutie Pie Spectre here. Today I'm going to be doing a quick tutorial, or as quick as it can be, a quick tutorial on how to mix vocals with music after exporting your vocals from Utau. So, I use Audacity. I know a lot of people don't like this program, but I personally have never had any problems with it, and I've gotten very comfortable with it, and I've been using it for since I started Vocaloid in Utau, which was 3 or 4 years ago. So I'm just going to show you guys how to mix vocals and all that fancy stuff. So first we're going to go File, Import, Audio. And you can either pick the vocals or the instrumental first. I usually pick the instrumental first just for reasons. So yep, you just import your vocals, or not your vocals, your instrumental. Then you go File, Import, Audio again, and you pick, ta-da, the, whatever this is, the vocals. Now, play your song, and already you see there's a big problem. She's singing way too soon. So we're going to fix that. Select the zoom tool, the little magnifying glass, and zoom in a little bit on the song and vocals, and drag, using the selector tool right here, drag the vocals to where they have to start. Depending on how well you know the song and stuff, you may have to play it several times to make sure it sounds right, but go back to the selection tool, select a little spot before your vocals on the song, and press play. And she started a little too slow, so I'm going to scoot your head a little bit. There we go. Now she's starting the song properly. So the next step that I do is go to the selector tool, press this little button here. It's a magnifying glass with 2 arrows pointing at each other. It's called Fit Project, and it just fits your entire project to the screen so you can see how long it is. I didn't render the entire song since I just wanted to keep it kind of short. Now, using the selector tool, if there's any space from here to here, use the selector tool to select it, go to Generate, press Silence, and hit OK. Then just click this little line, and now there's some silence in before. This is just because later on when you're mixing effects, it makes it way easier to add the effects and not have to retime it every time you add an effect. And it's helpful later on. So once you have this done, that's good. I personally next will select this. If your vocals end right away, and even if they don't, I usually just do this for good measure, do generate some more silence, but at the end of the vocals. And this is just for later on when you're adding echoes and all that good stuff. It doesn't just stop. It gradually fades out, which sounds a lot nicer. So here's your vocals. Pretty good. Now we're going to play some, listen to it, and make sure everything sounds okay. There we go. I don't know how familiar you are with this song, but this part right here is way too fast. It's happening way too fast. So how I personally like to fix this is I zoom in really close with the zoom in tool. I use the selector tool to select just a little bit of sound. I copy it and I paste it where the off tempo part is. And you just add in a bunch of quiet, no sound, just silence. I press play. Now that was a little better. She's a little slow now though. There we go. And basically you should always play through the whole song at least once to make sure everything's in tempo and that the vocals rendered properly and all that good stuff. And once you're sure that the vocals are all aligned, there's a next step. You're not done. Select the entire vocals, not the instrumental, just the vocals. On my version of Audacity, I just have to click here and it will select the whole thing for me. Copy it and paste it. Now you have 2, and it'll be very loud when you play it. Now she's yelling at everybody. Select your newly pasted vocal track, go down and go into effects and scroll down until you find high pass filter. All a high pass filter is it removes the low frequencies of a voice, the bass frequencies, and makes it sound less muffled. What I tended to find happened when I mixed especially Vocaloids is their voices sound very muffled compared to the music. So I used high pass filters to lift the bass frequency out of their voice so they sound less muffled against the music. So you just hit OK, and your vocals will get a little smaller. Select the two vocals together like so, go to Tracks, Mix and Render, and your two tracks will become one. Just for safe measure, select the newly formed track, go to Effect, and go to Amplify. And Audacity should automatically correct any volume problems. This is mostly useful if your vocals get too loud when you mix the high pass filters. Right now the vocals are fine, but sometimes when you mix the vocal and the high pass filter, it will be too loud, which will cause peaking, and this will automatically fix that so your utau or your Vocaloid doesn't sound all screechy when you go to play it. So I don't need to adjust it, so it's good. Now the thing with high pass filters is, generally speaking, it's not 100% this way, but generally speaking, and depending on your microphone quality, you only need to do high pass filter once on female vocals, and you need to repeat the high pass filter process twice for male vocals or 3 times for male vocals, depending on how deep the voice is. And basically it's just the same thing. You copy it, you do the first high pass filter, you take it again, paste, effect, then you go to high pass filter. My cat's yelling at me. And you just do it again, and you have another one, and then you mix it together, and ta-da, that's how you repeat the process. And just keep doing it till the voices sound clear, but not nasally. If you do high pass filter too much, the voice will start to sound kind of nasally, and that's generally not good. But in this case, I have a female vocal with fairly high vocals, so she only needs high pass filter once. So once you're done with the high pass filter, select your vocals, go to Effect, and go to Compressor. Compressor just tries to balance all the peaks, these little blue things here. Tries to balance all the peaks so they're the same, so you just hit OK. And I repeat this about 3 times, and that's usually good enough. So now you can see the vocals are a little bit more equal, which is good. Go to Effect, Amplify, and I usually just use -5, but you can use whatever, and hit OK. This is just so the vocals aren't too loud, and when we start adding effects, it doesn't start peaking and screeching and sounding really terrible. So take your quieted vocals, copy them, and paste them. We're going to add our first effect now. It's called G-Verb. Go to Effect, G-Verb. Don't change any settings unless you really want to, but I don't usually change them, so you don't really gotta. Hit OK. And now your vocals are going to get super loud and have this echoey stuff going on. So go to Effect, Amplify, and this is where Audacity's automatic adjust thing really comes in handy. If it doesn't automatically adjust, just keep downing the volume by amplification until the blue points are no longer going outside of the track. See how it's going outside right here? Just keep adjusting it till it's not doing that anymore. So mine will do it automatically. And this one is the very highest point, so it's just touching the side, but that's okay. Now, we have these nice, lovely tracks here. Let's play them. And now it sounds like she's singing in a big room or something. Generally speaking, you don't want effects to be that loud. It makes it sound really amateur and kind of dumb, so don't do that. Unless you think it sounds nice. I mean, it's your song, it's up to you, but I wouldn't recommend it because it sounds kind of dumb. But just go to Amplify, and I just go by intervals of -1 and hit OK. And keep downing the volume on it. By the way, this shortcut I'm using to repeat this is Control-R. And play. And just keep adjusting it until it sounds like a good volume to you. Now, make sure you have your main vocal selected again. And paste it so you have a new one. And we're going to add our next effect. The next effect I like to use is Echo. In Echo, there is one thing I like to change where it says delay time bracket seconds bracket. Instead of 1, put 0.5. To me, this is just a good interval for echoing, and it's not too fast, not too slow. It sounds just right. Now, like you did with G-verb, down the volume. I generally just try to make the sound waves match each other. So just go like that, play it, and see how it sounds. If it sounds good to you, right on. The next effect we go. Paste the raw vocals again. And this time we're going to use an effect called delay. Delay is just another type of echo. I just find it adds a little bit extra that the G-verb and echo doesn't. Generally speaking, when you use delay, it will do this and add a little bit of extra sound. Just delete that out. So your tracks are all flush with each other. Now, just like echo and G-verb, down the volume until it sounds good to you. Now remember that when you're mixing different songs, different amounts of effects will sound good and bad. So don't be afraid to experiment. You can always fix it. But it's more about learning what kind of songs sound good with what kind of effects. Like, Let It Go is a very quiet song, so you don't want too many effects, but you want it just to be just there, so it's just hearable. Now we're going to play it again. And you can hear her voice echoing and all that good stuff. Once you're happy with the balance between the main vocals and the effects, select all of the tracks together, go to Tracks, Mix and Render. This will compress your tracks into one big thing, and then you just go to Effects, Amplify, and this is where you balance the vocals until they sound good with the music. So your Utau or Vocaloid isn't singing over the music, and they're not singing so quietly that they can't be heard anymore. Depending on the song, like as you can see, Let It Go starts out very quiet and then gets very loud. You may need to individually adjust sections. So like, for example, this part is very quiet, so the vocals will be very quiet. But when we get to these parts where the music is louder, we will make the vocals louder so the music doesn't drown them out. And once you're happy with the volume, not quite happy with the volume. Once you're happy with the volume, that's too quiet. Okay. Not good enough. Once you're happy, select the two tracks together, go Tracks, Mix and Render, and ta-da! Your track becomes one with the instrumental. Now, generally speaking, I don't leave it like this. I just mix them together and go to Amplify and see if there's any adjustments that need to be done to the volume. Generally speaking, this is useful for if you're doing a really long song and you don't want it to peak, because what I've noticed a lot in other covers is people don't adjust the volume when they're done mixing, and as a result, the voices peak and screech, and it sounds very, very bad, and I can't listen to it because it sounds so screechy. So I go and I get whatever correction my song is going to need, but I hit cancel. Then I undo my mix, but I select the whole thing, Control A to select the entire project. I go to Effect, Amplify, and I put in whatever Audacity told me to put in before when I had the two tracks mixed together. If the OK button is ever gray, there's a little thing here that says Allow Clipping. Press that and hit OK, and it will adjust the volume to whatever you need it to. I do like to keep the two tracks separate like this, the vocals and the instrumental separate, because I'll render one version with the vocals and the music, and then I'll mute the vocals and I'll render an a cappella version or a version with just the vocals by itself. And this is just in case, I don't know, I ever come across a remix or something I want to do, or someone wants to remix the vocals. It's basically just a storage thing, but you don't have to do it. If you want, you can just mix the two tracks together and go about your business. I just like to do this so I have the a cappella and the version with the instrumental. So once you're happy with your cover, the last thing you have to do is go to a file, export, and just save it as whatever you want. I'll call this mini test since it's for the tutorial. You hit save. Then you'll be confronted with this. This is just the metadata editor. This is where you put in like the artist, the track, the album, the track number, the year it was made, and the genre. And once you've edited that and you're good with it, you just hit OK. And Audacity will tell you this. And you just wait until it renders. It's going really fast. Almost done. Then you'll have in the folder where you're working, you'll have your song. And that's all there is to it. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the tutorial and want to see more. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comment box just below the video. And that's it. Basically, that's all there is to mixing. Remember, there's no right or wrong way to mix. So try everything and experiment and see what you like, what you don't like, whatever. And yeah, happy mixing, and I hope you have a good time. See ya!